How do you look at an alcoholic, a drug user, or a chain smoker? What are your thoughts when you look at them? Do you label them as addicts and look down upon them? Let me dare you into an inquiry into yourself. Do you really believe you are not an addict? Addiction is not just to substances. Addictions can be to internet, video gaming, social media. You could also be addicted to movie watching, shopping, gambling, eating, gossiping, or traveling. So, what is an addiction? How do you define it? An addiction is not merely an unethical or an immoral behavior. That would be a very childish and an immature understanding. Addiction is a repetitive indulgence in an unwise activity. And why do you engage in it? You engage in it for two reasons. Either because it gives you a high or it helps you escape a low. You engage in addiction, one, because it is pleasurable, or two, because it is helping you escape emotional pain. Any habit can become an addiction when you lose control over it. You are addicted when you cannot effortlessly say no and walk out of it. Addiction is not the problem of a specific strata of society or a specific age group. And it is definitely not the problem of a particular gender. Men and women both can succumb to addictions. And there is no reason for you to be more appalled if a woman succumbs to addiction than a man. Because the reasons that prompt a man or a woman to an addiction are the same. It is either a craving for pleasure or an attempt to escape emotional pain. Men and women are both equally helpless in this issue. Addiction is a disease that affects the lives of people everywhere. Today, let us look into one of the central factors that causes addictions and how to prevent the arising of addictions. Stay with me. Namaste. I was recently speaking with a social worker who spoke of how addicted the world is emerging to be. Can you believe this? An average person visits social media platforms anywhere between 100 to 150 times a day. Is being addicted the new normal? What you see today is an entire civilization that is addicted to speed, to thrill, and to pleasure. And because of this, most people live with a very poor quality of mind that cannot celebrate life as it is. Because everyday life is not thrilling. How can it be thrilling? To wake up every day morning, brushing your teeth, taking care of the family's requirements, or take the subway to work. These are routine, mechanical things that you do every day. How can all this be thrilling? For the unenlightened mind, life can feel like a chore or a burden. Only the enlightened mind can go beyond the need for excitement and the fear of boredom. The enlightened are present to life as it is with total and undiluted attention. Such an attention is bliss. I want every one of you to know this. If you are prone to seeking continuous excitement of some kind or the other, you have the potential to be an addict. If you cannot experience life as it is, you have the potential to become an addict. Overeating, oversleeping, gossiping, compulsive lying, phoning, WhatsApping, YouTubing, playing politics at home and work continually, watching soap operas and movies on TV, Netflix, and even eventually working, any of this can become your addictions. So let us ask again, what is an addiction? Addiction is a compulsive destructive habit to which your mind and body are irresistibly drawn. The temptation is too strong to resist. You have biochemically and neurologically programmed your brain to rush back into the addiction. The dopamine that is released in the brain during an addiction tells you to get back to the same behavior and creates an endless loop in which you get caught in. Dopamine is an addictive chemical that is released in the brain during a moment of pleasure. And when it dips, it makes you so low that you want more of the same pleasure. So dopamine makes you ask for more dopamine. It is a vicious loop. That is why most addicts feel that their fight against addiction is a losing battle. It is true that you cannot fight an addiction by using your willpower alone. Fighting an addiction is like fighting with a crocodile in water. In water, a crocodile is way more powerful than you. The chances of your victory are slim. Your efforts to become free of addictions must start with understanding yourself. That is the first step. Firstly, you must understand that an addiction is only a symptom. Most often, it is a sign of an inner war or a struggle that is going on within you. It is a sign that you're battling against some reality in life. You are trying to escape some emotional wound or some deep unhappiness through this addiction. Emotional wounds such as painful memories, rejections, shame, failure, repression, boredom, meaninglessness, or loneliness are hurting you and creating an inner vacuum. You are trying to fill this vacuum with some addiction. You are not able to bear the depressive inner environment of your mind and are escaping that low through the high of your addiction. Think of a time when drinking or smoking or internet gaming was a simple and a harmless pastime for you that you used to engage in for fun with your friends during weekends. When did it actually become an addiction? When did that simple fun activity become the master and you became the slave? It became an addiction at a point when life became a struggle for you. When you became unhappy about your progress in your career, or when you became dissatisfied with love in your relationships. It became an addiction when life became meaningless and boring. It became an addiction at a point when life became a struggle for you. Every addict is a wounded human being within, whether they recognize it or not, and is in dire need of healing. At ACOM, we have seen people of all age groups set themselves free in deep processes and emerge like molten metal that is burned in the crucible. Remember this, addiction to alcohol withers when your pain at being a failure is healed. Binge eating withers when the sadness of being unloved vanishes. Addictive smoking withers when you're no more running away from your boredom. Now, how quickly can one become free of an addiction? Becoming free of an addiction is not as difficult as it sounds. Every one of you can do it. We have seen thousands of people give up their addictions spontaneously when they make peace with life. Not only do the people who come to ACOM give up addictions, even their loved ones back home give up addictions impacted by the transformations of these people. Few years ago, a guy who is a personality development coach from Latin America, came to Ekam for an enlightenment festival. His eldest son, about 34 years old, had become matter of public shame for him as he was a chronic alcoholic and was unsettled in any sort of career or relationship. This person did not know how to solve this problem. During the festival, he had an experience of a massive awakening of the heart and connected to his eldest son. He became conscious of the terrible loneliness his son had grown up with, right from his childhood into his teens and adulthood. In those moments of heartfelt connection towards his son, tears streamed down his eyes because he felt a tender love and a sense of oneness with his son. That same night, he called his son, and for the first time, he simply listened, simply feeling the pain and frustration in his son's voice, without correcting, judging, and advising. On the last day of the festival, the son calls him and tells him that he is considering giving up alcohol and settling into a new job. In the past 4 years, the young man is awakened to deeper inner peace. He works with his father and is learning to coach people himself. What do you think healed him? His dad's connection with him. It was absolute non-judgment and compassion that flowed from his father that healed him. Your journey to freedom begins with realizing your addiction, not in denying it. You become serious about your journey only when you see the impact of your addiction on your life and on the lives of your children and partner and friends. Ekam is not a de-addiction center. Ekam is a space where people's hearts heal and flower. When the heart heals, addictions spontaneously fall away. Life is not to be lived in slavery of any kind. It is to be lived in freedom, love, and connection. The solution to addiction ultimately is a matter of we being there for each other with love. Young people who belong to families that experience heartfelt connection, where families spend time together and also have a culture of self-awareness and meditation, have a huge advantage. They will stay above addictions. Rise up now so the future can be different.